Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Catalyst webinar series presented by the Education Committee for the Southern California PGA. The Catalyst webinar series is a bi-weekly educational platform for creating success and change in your club and career. We are very proud and excited to introduce Mr. Ted Eleftheriou, PGA. Ted comes to us from the PGA of America. He is the Director of Golf Program Development. He's also held such titles as Director of PGA Learning Centers and Director of Player Development Regional Managers. Ted also sits on the National Committee for Teaching. He's on the Teaching and Coaching Committee at the national level, and he's in his second year of doing that. And Ted's going to be presenting and bringing us up to speed on PGA.coach. Good morning, Ted. Welcome to the Catalyst webinar series.
Good morning, John. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just excited to be here, and as you may or may not know, I actually got my PGA membership in Southern California, and just real proud to be a member. And Southern Cal just holds a real dear place in my heart. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. Yes, no, I didn't know that. I know we both had the same beginnings at Shoal Canyon in Glendale. You were at the Nike Learning Center there, I believe, when Shoal first became an 18-hole facility.
That's right. Yeah, I started as a head pro there, but just gravitated towards teaching and fell in love with that. And one thing led to another. And through the Nike Golf Learning Centers, it gave me an opportunity to now, where I am at, move to Southern Florida. And I've been there since 2000. And now currently work for the PGA, which has been about 5 years.
Excellent. Well, she's all yours for the next 40 minutes.
40? I thought you told me I had 3 hours, but all right, we'll make it 40. Well, thanks everybody for attending. Again, really appreciate you giving me your time. I know it's valuable and there's probably a lot of things to do, but it shows you being here how valuable and the movers and shakers that you are in your communities and what you do for the PGA. So thank you for doing that. And I'm excited to show all of you a brief kind of synopsis of what we call PGA.coach, and we do think it's the future of coaching. And what it is, it's basically a tool for PGA and LPGA members that adds more value to what you already do. And I think it answers the question of, like, why should I hire a PGA professional? And also, why do they say that they are the experts in the game of golf and the business of golf? So let's jump right in. So what is PGA.coach? Well, first of all, started with a gentleman called Eleftheriou. I love that name because with my last name is Eleftheriou, it totally resonates with me. But Eleftheriou is probably known as a world-renowned expert when it comes to long-term athlete development. And he's worked with 17 professional teams around the world, originated in Canada, and now I think he's over at the UK doing some work with them. But if you would think of him, he's kind of like the father of long-term athlete development, and we'll talk a little bit about what that is. He came out with a book not too long ago, and it's called Long-Term Athlete Development. And in that book, it's kind of a combination between textbook and a coach's manual. And he talks a lot about that. Hey, there's some challenges going on now in coaching. And when we talk about coaching, it's not golf specific. He talks about a broad range of sports. And we need to address those challenges because there's a big fallout rate of participants in sports as they get older. There's an opportunity for them to get prone to injury for not being coached properly and a whole bunch of things. As a matter of fact, I'd like to show you some videos and a couple of slides as to what some of the challenges that he addresses are. One of the challenges that we have today is that kids are much less active than they have in the past. And there's a lot of reasons for that we all know, everything from video games to other activities in sports and other non-sport activities. And as a result of that, as many of you probably know, obesity is a bigger challenge right now than, say, malnutrition. And with that, us as coaches need to take the lead on how can we help kids be more active. But in addition to kids being active, I think it's important to mention that for those adults that are getting into more of their prime years, that we often forget about them, that they start losing flexibility and strength and opportunities. And through this program, Long-Term Athlete Development Program, it's not a junior program per se, although it's heavily marketed and seems like that, but it also takes into consideration those adults that are getting their prime years as well. In addition to that, here's another video on one of the challenges that they wanted to address. So as hopefully you can see, and I think all of us who are coaches and, we have to deal sometimes with parents, and out there in Coachville, sometimes we don't have the tools and resources necessarily to do so. I mean, how do you handle the daddy caddies and other parents that get overly involved in their kids, and oftentimes not for the best? So in addition to that, that brings up another point that maybe, and this is a survey that was done amongst coaches, that we're not providing enough training for our coaches. I think all of us here that teach as a career would definitely say that, hey, we get a lot of training as far as impact position and one plane, two plane, golf machine, stack and tilt, whatever it is. But how many of us actually have to deal with a lot of the topics that are shown right here? And I, for one, would say that that would probably fall into my category. I don't get enough training in that. And also, there comes the point, like, we want to make sure that the coaches produce and present the right experience at the right time. This image here is a picture of 3 14-year-olds. And as you can see, they're different in size and build and what have you. If they were competing against each other, which often they do in sports like hockey and basketball, whatever, and you have this going on, there's a challenge there, right? The bigger child would definitely have an advantage over the smaller child. And as such, the smaller child eventually may say, you know what, I just don't want to play these sports anymore. I'm tired of getting my clock rung and you know, I just need to find something else. So we want to make sure that everything we do, that it's the right experience at the right time. And what Istvan suggested was this 7 stages, which he calls a long-term athlete development program, or you'll hear it synonymously sometimes used as the athlete development model, or ADM. And these 7 stages are to help us to get through what needs to be done to help our young athletes want to continue playing in sports and being active for life. And we at the PGA have adopted these same 7 stages, but we've added our own vernacular to it. For example, the first 2 stages, active start and fundamentals, we're going to keep the same. And the reason for that is in the early 2 stages, they're not golf specific. They take place at a golf course. We use golf props. We do activities that enhance golf experiences, but they're not say like, hey, this is the way that you strike a ball, or this is what your backswing should look like. It's more about games, physical activity, and doing activities that, again, will prevent injuries down the road and enhance the golfer's experience. From there, we changed the terminology and we said, you know what? Golf is a game that's played, so let's use the word play as often as we can. So we have, instead of learning to trade, we say learn to play. Instead of training to train, we say play to improve. Instead of training to compete, we say play to compete. Instead of training to win, we say play to win. And of course, the last one, instead of active for life, we say play golf for life. And that last stage encompasses all ages and abilities and skill levels. And the reason that last stage encompasses everything is because there may be people that just want to try the game for the first time, or want to just be recreational golfers so they could play with family and friends and have no inclination or desire to be the club champion or to get on tour or to get a high school position on a golf team. So that's why that's an important stage for us there. Moving forward, why do we do this? Well, we think we want to stay in alignment with the PGA's mission, which is to grow the game of golf, and we'll see in a minute here. So this part is to drive consumer engagement, which obviously is something that we definitely need in our industry. In addition to that, this is where we want to serve the member, and that comes to and create facility member value. So again, this program is only available to our PGA professionals and LPGA members, and we'll see in a bit that we do allow some non-members to see parts of the program, and I'll tell you why that's important in a minute. And then finally, let's do the implementation of player development principles. As a coach, I get excited when I see this because I do believe the coach has one of the biggest, if not the biggest, influence at a golf facility for driving revenue, to making us known in the community, to building relationships, more so than most positions in a facility. So how are we going to do this? Well, we want to provide the coaches the resources, the tools, the education. We want to capture, engage, and retain golfers, basically grow the game of golf. And we're going to do that through the tools that I'll be showing you during this presentation. And then also under the leadership of PGA professionals to, again, serve the member. Only PGA pros, LPGA members can have access to this information put in the way that we have it, and nobody else. So what is it? It's PGA.coach. And as I go through this presentation, I want you all to be aware that what I'm showing you is an internal awareness movement right now. In other words, We're not launching it forward-facing to consumers as of yet, but that's our goal to be in the next stage, which will happen probably about May or June of next year. We want all our PGA members to be comfortable with the materials, to have an understanding what it means to be LTAD or ADM certified, and then to be able to have that knowledge and practice it for a year, so that when we do go consumer facing, our members who are certified through this would be able to answer any questions that come from parents, participants, kids, juniors, whatever. So it's important that we spend the first year or so in what we call the incubation period to make everybody known. Also, this wasn't done just by us, although we were the ones who heavily influenced all the material that you see, but the 5 national governing bodies are all participating in this, and they just like anybody else want to basically increase participation in our sport, and they, like we do, also believe it's a cradle to grave type program. I probably could have picked a better image than that, but you get what I mean there. And just like anything else as well, we want to introduce the game of golf to as many people as possible. We want them to play the game of golf for as long as possible. And during the time that they're playing, we want them to have the best experience possible as well. How do we do that? Well, for one, we feel strongly that other sports who have already done it, that we should learn and capture and take some things from them. And USA Hockey was one of the first sports in America to really embrace long-term athlete development and ADM. And they met with us numerous times, and we've had great conversations, and they've been so generous in sharing the things that they've gone through and help us shortcut some of the challenges that they faced. Here's a video from them.
USA Hockey is the national governing body for the sport of ice hockey. Every player has their own pathway. And I think that's one of the greatest things about USA Hockey and our structure, is that we have everything from beginner to recreational to competitive to elite.
At the youngest ages, it's really building a passion to get out and play. At youth sports, kids need to have fun. What's fun for a kid at each age may be a little different.
We try to provide age-appropriate, age-specific environment for the kids.
In most sports, we don't use the same size equipment. We don't use the same size playing surface with adults that we would with kids that are 6, 7, 8 years of age.
Instead of playing full ice 5-on-5 with kids 5 to 8 years old, we changed the rule to play cross ice. So we changed the playing surface.
For us, it was downscaling things to fit the athlete, but yet still provide an environment where they have to make decisions.
We felt strongly that kids would touch the puck more, there would be more repetition, more opportunity to score goals, more play for them that resembled what real hockey is for elite players. For us in the youth hockey department, it's about healthy people, healthy kids, a good culture, and a good community through the sport of hockey.
We want kids to leave the ice rink every single time saying, Mom, Dad, when's the next time I get to come back?
And they told us, as we already experiencing a little bit, you're going to get a lot of scars, you're going to get beat down a little bit, you're going to have a lot of challenges from parents. And in particular, the biggest challenge for hockey was that when they went cross rink, the parents were like in an uproar. They're like, hey, this isn't really hockey. This isn't the way we learned how to play. And like, we need to play full rink. And that was a major hurdle that they had to overcome. So one of the things they did is they started creating PSAs to show that maybe full rink for like 8-year-olds is probably not the best thing, because they're not going to touch the puck as much, they're not going to experience what the game is about, and they're basically going to be like just drilled down from all the physicalness that comes with a full rink. Here's an example of a PSA that they launched to help address that.
I mean, it's daunting. It's huge.
That's the main thing. It's just size is just too big.
Oh no, it's too big. When I stepped onto this ice surface, I kind of was looking down and trying to figure out where it started and stopped.
It's the view of what ice was like when we were kids. This is what it was like, and you forget that when you get older.
Looking out at this as a kid, it would be overwhelming. Just wondering, if you're going to get up and down the ice surface.
We thought this was for a completely different sport. It almost looked like a joke here. You see the giant nets and everything. There's no way we're playing full ice on this.
Am I going to play on this? Oh, jeez. No. That is a big net. I mean, the goalie's like, he's standing up and it's above his head. I'm like, it was crazy.
There's so much room on the ice that you end up spending a lot of time in open space and you're not touching the puck.
And we realized how bunched up we were, spread out and use the ice, but then you weren't part of the play. You were so far out of it.
And a lot of chasing and just not much contact.
If you're out of position once, you're not going to get back in it. You're done for the play. So, yeah, it's very unforgiving.
If you're caught out of position on this thing, oof.
With a big sheet of ice, there's a lot of one-on-one type play. So if you can beat one guy, the other team's so far away they can't even catch you.
If you're a defenseman and you're beat, you're just going to probably more or less tend to give up.
On the long passes, the passes are so long that they're easy to intercept.
It's hard to communicate because everybody's spread out so far, and you're out of breath, so that makes it hard too.
I need more water. There's a few more minutes to breathe. It would have scared me if it was my first time, because I can't do that every day.
Thanks, guys, for the worst skate of my life.
I'm exhausted. And even just once up and down the ice, I came out here and had to lay down in the track because it was just wearing me out.
If I was just a little guy, I want to play in as small of ice as possible.
There's too much time between the action.
I think for kids with their attention spans, it makes it even more difficult because they lose interest if they're not involved in the play.
Anybody that would experience it for the first time would not be able to pick up the style of play, how to be in position. It would be way too difficult. There's way too much area to cover.
It's a little less thrilling, a little less exciting. Just the way you play out here, it's nothing like that you'd play in real life.
The surface is way too big to learn on.
For those who play hockey, I'm sure we can all relate to that. Soccer has done something similar where they took a soccer pitch and increased it by 3. And so it's like, if you can imagine, 330 yards long, and having professional soccer players running and playing the game in a net that was literally like, I don't know, probably a good 50 yards across and maybe a minimum of a story high. And trying to protect that was absolutely insanity. So a lot of fun, but it really brings home the message that, hey, you can't teach kids and juniors as you would adults. So how does that pertain to us in the golf industry? Let's look at let's take a closer look at PGA.coach. And first of all, as I mentioned, for us, there's going to be a 3-phase rollout process. And the first one is creating awareness, which is bringing this message to our members first. Again, this is internal, not external as of right now. The second part is to go through the training, and we're going to talk about PGA.coach online and why all of you should go through this and become ADM certified. And then the final part is when you go through training, then it only makes sense that we need to then provide you tools and resources that you can use to implement what you've learned from PGA.coach. So by no means do we want this to just be an educational experience, but we want it to be something that you can all use like immediately after you do the training. So the first part, the member awareness, let's look at that. We could have, and we did, come out with a manual that we could just email to all of you and say, here, read the manual, answer the questions, and then you get certified. But we thought not everybody learns best that way, and it's not always retentionable. You can still download the manual, and if you go on PGA.coach online, you can go to the very bottom, and there's a place that you can click on, and you can download the manual, and you'll have that as well. But we thought perhaps a better methodology would be to have professional people talking a little about ADM. And once again, let me show you a video to prove what I mean.
A good coach will show you how to play the game. A great coach will show you how to play for life. The era of specialization is coming to an end. The transformation of sports is here, from one coach to another. If you want to unlock greatness, it's time to get serious about having fun.
Golf's a game for a lifetime. Not everybody's going to be a champion. It's good to enjoy it, to keep physically fit, be in the outdoors, to spend time with your friends. That's what golf's all about.
You know, Antoine Randall played receiver for me at the Pittsburgh Steelers. In college, he played quarterback on a football team. He played basketball, and he played baseball. His skill set evolved from his experience from all the different sports. That's what made him the receiver he was.
In my development, it's very important to play multiple sports. There's a huge benefit when it comes to skill development, but also exposing yourself to different challenges. No matter how great I've been at basketball and things that I've accomplished on the basketball court, I have a whole lot more to experience when it comes to me getting better on the golf course.
Golf is definitely a lifetime sport. I love picking up the sport at my age and being able to learn and continue this really for a lifetime.
The PGA of America has led an industry-wide coalition to transform your coaching journey. Starting today, you can leverage the benefits and fun of developing the whole athlete. Those multi-sport athletes will become golfers for life. The future of golf is in your hands. Unlock greatness in your students, your business, and your facility, and help lead the transformation of sports.
So if you go to PGA.coach online, this video is on there, and you can show it to your employers, your students, whoever you want. But again, just keep in mind that this is an awareness amongst our members more than an awareness that is consumer-wise. In addition to having the website, we launched it at the main stage at the PGA show, where Susie Whaley, Nancy Henderson of the LPGA, and Annika Sorenstam were there, and they talked about the future of coaching and how they came from backgrounds that they played in diversity of sports, not just golf, and then how golf later came important to them in their lives, and they pursued the careers that they did because of it. So that was a really a pivotal moment for what we're doing. In addition to that, I had the privilege and opportunity to share at the Member Business Center about PGA.coach, and I did a presentation there as well. Now, you may not have seen it in the news, nor will you as of right now, because again, being an internal document, we want to just keep it within our members. And we didn't even do a major impact spread marketing-wise amongst our members just yet, because we wanted to have a few, maybe 1,000, I think our goal was 3,000 members, do the programming, try the app out, go through that, and then give us feedback. Let us know what works, what doesn't work, if they found errors in there, if there are things that need to be changed, if there's something that's not right. And that's what we did. And not only did we get 3,000, we're actually closer to 5,000 members that have gone on to PGA.coach online. And the feedback we've been getting has been phenomenal. And as a result, we've made numerous changes, and I'm really proud that it's moving along in a great cadence that I think if you haven't already, you're going to see some really impactful things that'll be prevalent to what you're doing in your world. So that's really it for the awareness, other than you might get some email blasts and you'll see us in the PGA newsletters that you get. The second part is the training, and that's where we go into PGA.coach online. And again, it's for PGA and LPGA members only. This is really important, so if you're taking notes, please jot this down, that when you go on there to do the online training, you must use your PGA email address that you use for PGA.org. One of the number one things that we get is that people can't log in. It's because they're using their username, and it won't work. We're working on fixing that, but right now, go ahead and just use your email address to get in. If you're an LPGA member, you're going to be asked to input a code, and the code is LPGA.coach, all in capital letters. And when you do that, that'll give access to the full program. Now, there is one more opportunity for signing in, and that's being able to sign in as a guest. And when you sign in as a guest, that's for our non-members who might want to learn a little bit about this program. And they can only access the first 5 modules of the program to give them enough of a flavor of what it's about. And the reason we thought this was important, because many of our PGA golf professionals who are going through this program might not necessarily be the decision makers at a facility. And they go through the program, they're all excited, they go back to the owner, operator, GM, whoever, who's not a member, who doesn't know anything about this program, and they might get shut down. So we wanted to have the opportunity to allow them to access it as well, so they would have an understanding of what it is that we're talking about when we talk to them about LTAD, ADM, and why it pertains to their facility. Moving forward, you jump on the page, you'll see this, and as you scroll down, it talks a little bit about what the American development model is. It also gives you how does it work and what's it all about. And then it shows the 7 stages that we have for ADM, the LTAD stages. And it's important to note that the ages overlap, because this program is not necessarily about biological age, just like we saw the image of the 14-year-olds. There's so much more that we take into consideration, everything from the skeletal development, the neurological development, the skill level, the social level, the intelligent level, where kids, come to puberty and how that matters to what we're doing coaching. And even to the point where, as you can see here by the ages, that we actually teach girls differently than we teach boys. And that's a big differentiator as well. So the programs, while they roughly align with age, biological age is not the one-all on deciding where a student should be placed. When you get to the bottom of the screen, you'll see some options here. One is the online training, how to get started. Talks about the PGA.coach app, which we'll get to in a few minutes here. Retail Tribe is a marketing partner with us that's available to PGA members at a big discount. And what it is, it'll help you market your program once you're set up and ready to go. And I believe, and I'd have to research it some more, that the cost is about $120 a year or $10 a month if you want to participate in that. And then finally, there's a directory that right now you can be listed on it, but because it's not consumer facing, it doesn't really serve a purpose at this time. So jumping on, here's that login page that I was speaking about. And when you first click on it, you'll be set up like this. And let me zoom in on that for you. And the big part is going to this coach's corner. It has all the tools and resources that you'll need to successfully go through the training program. There are a lot of modules that take place in this program. And the good thing is you don't have to just sit there for 3 hours, which is about what it takes to complete it, and do it all in one shot. You can break it in smaller segments or larger segments and just really take the program as it fits your time and need. Here's what I'm going to show you here are the modules, or a snapshot of some of the modules. Once you complete each one, you get a circle with a check mark on it. To get that, there is a little quiz at the end of every one to make sure that you have an understanding before you go on to the next module. It's important to note that ADM and long-term athlete development program is not a best practice type of program. That's not what we want. We all have plenty of those. It's an actual product that you go through each stage, and each stage connects to the previous one, so you have a full understanding of what it's all about. Once a module is completed, again, you get a check mark on that, and you can return to it and review it as many times as you want. During the module, you can take notes, you can do whatever you want to it so that it'll help you remember things and also access it later. Here's an example of what a module might look like.
Some of the fun activities that I have my younger students do include matching up colors with cones, creating whoosh sounds with speed sticks, jumping like a frog, running fast around different noodles. I tend to use a lot of different colors and a lot of different senses to keep the junior really engaged. So it's a mix between running and jumping and throwing and matching up colors. So there's an educational component as well.
So how much practice time would you schedule for children under the age of 6? I'll wait while you make your selection.
So then you would see digital TED here, and you would make a selection, and that would tell you whether it's right or wrong.
Correct. There are no formal ADM guidelines for practice in the active start stage. For children under the age of 6, practice should not take place in a structured way. Instead, encourage children to play and explore. So about how many of your current students are in this phase?
And again, then you would click the answer, and it would tell you if it's right or wrong, or if it's all of the above. Once you're finished with all the modules, then you get access to this, which is your completion certificate, and you become ADM certified, and you'll be listed in that directory as an ADM certified coach. And in future directories, as we're working through PGA.com, what that will look like, and PGA.org, what that will look like, there'll be access where the consumer can find ADM certified coaches. The product to go through all this training costs you nothing. I honestly cannot see a reason why you wouldn't want to go through this program. On top of that, which I hate using this, but you also get 3 MSRs for completing the program as well. Now, it'd be something if we just did an education program and say, there you go, that's ADM, now you have an understanding, go to it. But no, we have to go beyond that. And we want to make sure that we support all our ADM coaches that have gone through the program. Mind you, this app is available on the iPhone, but also on Android devices as well through Google Store. And that the only people that can get access to this app and the activities that you're going to see here in a minute are ones that have gone through the PGA.coach online training. No one else can. So this is what the app looks like. It has a number of tools here. You can create an assessment tool, and I'm going to break down each one of them for you in a minute. You can create custom plans that will fit your instructional needs. You can get some pre-made plans that we've already created for you for those who don't want to take time to build one out on their own. And then a place that you can create for taking notes and sharing it with other instructors at your facility or parents or whoever, basically, that you want to share any information about. And let's go through some of these here. The first one here, we thought it important that we create an assessment tool that you can help identify where a student would be when they come to you for lessons. And as I go through this program, keep in mind, we stayed away from calling things lessons or instructions or a methodology or a teaching system. And the reason is that it's not. All these activities are to support you, what you already do. So whether you're teaching an arcing putter path versus a straight back, straight through putter path, it doesn't matter to ADM, but what we are saying is you should teach it at this time in the student's progression. And also use these activities that we have for you to measure the success that the student's having with your teaching style. And then by having this measurement, you can assign new instructional methods or new activities to help them get to the next level. So to create an assessment plan, it looks something like this. You would click on that. And there are 3 levels within each of these stages. 1 is Explore, which is basically the beginner level. 2 is Improve, which is the intermediate player level. And 3 is Advance, for the advanced player level. And the reason we came out with 3 stages is, what happens if you have the 14-year-old who comes to you and wants to begin golf and has never played before? If you would go just based on stages and ages, it would tell you that you need to put this person in the play to compete stage or just before that. But this person's never played before. So with having an assessment tool here, you're able to give an assessment and then place the student in the proper place that they should be, that would benefit them most for the development. So let's go through here. Let's say we click on fundamentals as one of the assessments. The assessment would look something like this. And it would give you, like for this one here, it's you're going to assess how well they are at balancing. And you might give them an activity like they have to stand on one leg, and you time them. And once it falls into certain criteria, you're going to choose either 1, 2, or 3 and click on that, and that will place them in that. And then you will go on to another assessment. If you really don't know what you should use for an activity, you can see there's a place here that says need help, view balance activities. You click on that, and the app provides you with a plethora of balance activities that you can use as an assessment for your students. Moving forward, once you go through all of them, and for fundamentals, I believe there's about 8 to 10 assessments in there, it gives you an average score. So right now, our scale would be 0 to 1.5 would fall under the Explore stage or level. 1.6 to 2.5 would fall under the Improve stage. And 2.6 and higher would then be for the advanced level. In addition to the overall score, it generates an individual score. These are the assessments that you've created, and it'll tell you how well the student participated in each one. So you can share with him or her, like, hey, you know what, you're just killing it on jumping and balance and full swing, but you know what, we need to work a little bit on your putting or your grip, and then you can work and give them assignments and help them to get better in that, and then you can reevaluate them again. You can evaluate them as many times as you want, actually. Moving forward, once you create an assessment, you know where to place the students. You would then create your own plan. And what that looks like is, back to this level, let's say you click on Active Start. And when you do that, it gives you a variety of activities that you can click on and populate your plan. Once you click on activity, it'll show you like, hey, here's the pool noodle kick croquet activity you picked. It takes 10 minutes to set it up. The duration is 15 minutes. And the equipment that you need for this activity is this. I'm going to scroll down a little bit more. It'll tell you here's how to set it up. Here's a summary of what the activity is about and what it hopes to achieve. And even if you went further down, it then tells you how to perform the activity. And if you need some help, you can also click on the video that it has with each assessment so that you would know, activity that you would know how to perform it. For example, this one here is the Active Start Pool Noodle Kick Croquet activity. Here's a sample of that.
You ready? Let's play. Everybody ready to play? Okay. This is a great activity. It's called Pool Noodle Kick Croquet. And as you can see, we're working on the target and kicking and also shooting and also coordination. It's a great game. It's easy to set up. You can get some pool noodles. You can design your own course or your own track, and you can space them apart any way that you would like. This is a great game and simple to do. As you can see, there's a lot of different variations to this game. So the idea, again, is to play and have some fun.
Cool. Let me give you an example of a play to win. So this is for probably students above the ages of 17 and 18 and who want to be competitive, whether it's get on a high school team, college team, or maybe play professionally, but also even for those adults who probably want to just win their club championship.
This is what we call the umbrella activity. It's super simple. We've simply taken an umbrella, stuck it in the green, and it's really designed to help the players start understanding landing angle, how to have the ball kind of come in the green on different heights. As we know, a lot of the shots in golf are going to be played kind of on the ground, but there are certain situations where the ball has to be launched up in the air a little bit higher landing angle. So this, having a bucket or a umbrella for the players to kind of fly the ball into, gives them the opportunity to visualize that and start trying to adapt to the conditions and to the shot shapes. I'm gonna go down and check and see how they're doing. Get out there. That's what you do, right? That's what we call the umbrella activity. It's a really interesting exercise. It allows these young players to be able to kind of start using their imagination and their visualization to adapt their technique to be able to land the ball a little bit more softly on the green. It can also be done into a range bucket, but I love the umbrella idea. That's called the umbrella activity. You should try it. Definitely a lot of fun.
All right. And then to give you one for the adults, the Play Golf for Life activity, here's what we call the pool noodle tower.
This is the pool noodle tower activity. And what better word to describe this than just fun, chipping balls through the hoops. So we're going to go ahead and challenge our players to start off the green and using their wedges, provide us with different trajectories to get the ball through the different hula hoop circles and then onto the green. Now, we want the balls to finish on the green and hopefully near the target that's just beyond your station. If you're doing really good, you can start to randomize your practice and see if you can call your shot and maybe mix it up and go low, high, middle, high, low, something like that. So you can see how much fun this pool noodle tower activity really is, whether you're young or you have adult players participating in this activity. I know everybody's going to walk away with a smile on their face. So go ahead and set up your towers in this way, and you can experiment with distances. You can also make the hula hoops a little bit larger, a little bit smaller, depending on the level of players that you're coaching.
Awesome. And as you can see, again, we're not showing curriculum or teaching or giving instruction methodology or anything like that, but you can see in the videos that the coaches are applying their instruction methodologies during the activities. And we think that's really important. Moving on, all of our activities, currently we have about 158 on there. That number is going to grow to well over 300 probably within this year. And we have about 40 or 50 more that are going to be added on here in the next month or two. Currently, 84 are supported by video, but our goal would be that every activity will have video support. And for those that currently do not have videos, we've created graphics that look like this. And again, it'll tell you, here's the setup time, here's the duration of the activity, the equipment you need. It'll give you a summary. Let me just zoom in on that a little bit for you there. And just really basic stuff. And here's the ladder activity that you can have someone do. Once you do all of this and you create your lesson plan, you check it off, it'll give you an overall opportunity to save that program. Sorry, as you can see, I'm a Patriots fan. I don't know how that got in there, but whatever. And once you save it, it'll list all the activities that you've saved in there, and it'll tell you, like, hey, to do these activities, it takes you 13 minutes setup time. So you need to go to the class and be there at least 15 minutes early so that you can set it up. And then what activities you put together comes out to a total of 30 minutes of actual activity time. So this one here would be a great activity plan for a 30-minute session that you have with your students. In addition to all that, for some of us, we might not have time to set it all up and go through the assessment, or at first we really don't know what to do. So we've created this hybrid version of PGA recommended activities. And if you click on that, you'll see that within there are various activities. If you need an active start for 30 minutes, here's one you can click on, or there's 3 actually. And we believe at active start, which is ages like 0 to 6 roughly, that it shouldn't be very long activity plans, and it shouldn't be an hour of just hitting golf balls. But these activities are very fun. They take place on the golf course, and again, they enhance the skills that are needed to help golfers. And then you can see some of the other ones. We have 45-minute activities, 60-minute activities, and so on and so on. So you just click on that, and it'll spit out an activity for you. Let's do the fundamental one, a 45-minute plan. It might look like this. It has, I think, about 5 activities in this one here. It takes 45 minutes long, and again, these take 13 minutes to set up, and this is all the equipment needs that you have. As you would scroll down on the app, it would tell you like, hey, each one, this is what needs to be done to set up, what individual equipment, and how each individual activity takes place. So it pretty much gives you what you need. And then finally, we think it's really important that our coaches have an opportunity to capture or have a place to capture all the info they need. So if you compose a note part, you can take notes on your students and help them out to, help you out to remember what it is that you covered and the successes that they're having or what levels they're at. You can share this with the students. You can also share it with their parents. You can share it with other teachers. And we thought that was important because let's say that I'm teaching a facility and I'm planning on going on vacation for 2 weeks. Well, I'm not going to stop my lessons. I want the kids and the students to continue taking lessons. So I can share the information with other coaches at my facility, and they in turn, while they're coaching, would know where I left off with my students, where each student is in their own journey in golf, and then also take notes on top of that that they could share back with me so that I would have an understanding of where they took their students while I was gone, or my students while I was gone. So that note page eventually too will probably be able to support videos and also support images. As of right now, it's just for text. And again, just remember that it's not a forward-facing to consumers yet. So we're kind of fooling around with that and what that would look like. As of right now, you could set it up where you could share on Facebook and social media and Twitter and all that, but we're not quite sure if that's something a coach wants to do, especially without any permission from students, to say like, hey, you're missing the boat, you're not doing very well in putting, but keep at it, So we're not sure where that's all going to go just yet. But that's the PGA.coach, the future of coaching. And again, the 3 stages are awareness, which we're doing right now. And then the training, which we want all of you to go through the PGA.coach online. And then finally is the tools and resources to support you as you're moving forward. As we look forward from here, what it looks like is next year launching it to consumers and creating a lot of like videos and support and marketing supplies that will help consumers have an understanding of why this is so important to the development of their children or to the development of their own personal journey. And then looking past that, probably in 2 years or so from now, we're creating a platform where all of you can then share ideas and videos and methodologies and activities that we would host on our app, and make sure that it's ADM certified. So that's why we're not reaching out to all of you just yet, because many of our pros don't know what ADM or LTAD is until after they do the program. But once they have a year under their belt and they see how the activities all fit in and why it matters, then we feel that they would be more capable to provide us with materials and activities that would be more ADM compliant. To do so now would just become a library of best practices. And again, we have more than enough best practices available. So next steps, I encourage you all, go online and complete the training. There is no reason that I can think of why you wouldn't want to do it. Become ADM certified, costs you nothing except for your time, and you get rewarded with that, with all this knowledge and the opportunity to access the app. And yes, you get 3 MSRs for it as well. Make sure you use your email address, and LPGA coaches, please make sure you type in the word LPGA coach, all in capital letters. Then make sure you download the app, or else it just becomes training and knowledge. We want you to take the app and use it and have some fun with it. And as soon as you've done the training, you can just access the app immediately and start using it in your instruction programs like today. And then finally, use it with your current coaching programs and enjoy. I guess the final thing that I would say, and then if we have time, John, if we have time, I can open up for some questions here, is that I would much rather do this programming, become ADM certified, start using it at my facility, and have my GM, owner, operator saying like, what the heck are you doing here? And then explain to them, and they may, which I really doubt, would say like, I don't think that's what we need to be doing here. I would rather have that scenario happen versus the owner, operator, GM coming to you and saying like, hey, what's all this stuff I'm hearing about this ADM? And I noticed the pros down the street are doing it, and they're killing it in their junior program, and the pros up the street are doing it, and more adults. And hey, we're losing people from our facility that are going there because of this. I would definitely not want that scenario to happen. So I encourage you to add more value to what you already do. Take the training, go through the programming, give us some feedback, let us know how it goes, and become ADM certified and start enjoying the rewards that come with it immediately. There's my contact information. I thank you for your time today. John, I don't know if there's any questions or if we have any time for it, but I'd be happy to stick around for a few minutes.
Thank you very much, Ted. Yes, indeed. When you talk about the tools that the ADM provides specifically for dealing with the overactive or the overcompetitive daddy caddy, can you spend a little time talking about that approach or how to utilize that resource?
Yes, absolutely. You know, they say that great artists steal, and we're doing some of that right now. Again, just be aware that this first year is just an internal awareness. And we are working diligently because we know that's like a top priority for our coaches. I've been there. I know I've been coaching for 23 years and having to deal with a lot of daddy caddies. So we are in the process right now, and you can already see some of this during the training of creating videos that coaches can say to parents like, hey, take a look at this video. And this video isn't to like tell parents like, hey, we don't want you to be part of this. We don't want you like going against what we teach. We don't want you going, you know, what the video is more like, here are some scenarios of how you can help us and how we can work together as a team to benefit your child, because in the long run, that's what we both want to do, right? We want our children to have a physical, active life, to be away from injury, to help prevent disease, and then to enjoy the game of golf to the max, to wherever that game takes them. So there'll be a lot of resources, and it won't be like, hey, here's what we say about it. We're going to use the most advanced and current resources available to everything from childhood development to why it's important to the game of golf to like how it benefits everybody. And then also use the psychological components of like, hey, you as a parent, this is how you can influence your children to have more fun. And in turn, your kids will want to play golf longer and, hey, perhaps even want to play golf with you longer. So there'll be a lot of resources coming up. And just so everybody who's on the call still, it's important to know that this isn't just a one-off, like, hey, we launched it and great, let's move on. No, it's going to be an ever-evolving product that'll be based heavily on what we see is needed, but more importantly, on what you, providing the feedback you give us, is needed on your end.
Very good. Yes, indeed. Thank you very, very much, Ted, for your time in presenting this morning on the Catalyst webinar series. We do appreciate it. All the attendees on the presentation this morning, stand by. We will be sending out the YouTube link for Ted's presentation along with a 10-question quiz. Please take the quiz and return it to Sharon Kerfman at skerfman@pgahq.com. A score of 70% or higher will earn 1 MSR for attending today's Catalyst. Also want to remind everybody that the next Catalyst webinar series is on Thursday, May 23rd with Allison Kurt, PGA, Dr. Kurt. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, everybody, for being on the call. Have a great day.
Thank you, John, so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Greatly appreciate it as well. And don't hesitate to hit me up if you have any questions or need further info. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Ted. Take care.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.